Hey, Brian here with Thriving Life Outfitters. I talk a lot about Mark Wolynn and his book, It Didn't Start With You. Today I'm going to share with you what it was like to be in a group with him and the experience I had as a client that just completely changed my life. So this is a little bit what it's like. So it's called constellation therapy. Don't get hung up on that. Let me just tell you what it's about. So here's me, here's Mark Wolynn. We have about 60 people in this workshop, and I got to be the client. Now, my symptom was that every single time I would go to work with somebody with the diagnose method or just anything like that, I would get this deep down just gut feeling like I was going to do something that would lead to their death, which would paralyze me. I was scared to death that, even if I just show somebody something simple, they're going to freaking die. So you can imagine how difficult that is to want to help people and have all these tools and talent, and then have that going on internally all the time. So we start with that, all right? So that's my symptom, all right? So we start and I choose, turns out a woman, and this would be her out of the group, and she stands up and she comes in the circle and she represents my symptom, okay? And then I choose somebody to represent my mom and my dad, and they're standing out there. And then basically it didn't really matter how you chose, but we would choose who would represent. So this is my dad, his mom, his dad, and we started with that, okay? And the person who's representing the symptom then would just walk around this and see if they were drawn to one of these people. She says no. So we add another layer, and mom, dad, mom, dad, mom, dad, on through for each of my parents' parents. Okay? Interestingly enough, I think if you go out 10, anyway, it's staggering how many people are in just 10 generations. But so we go here. This gal, she continues to walk around. There's really not a lot of pull. So the symptom isn't drawn to anything in this. So we agree that we're going to work with my mom's side, because very often that's where you look first for initial issues, okay? So we build out another one, and we build out a few more, and pretty soon we've got almost 30 people out of this group of 60 standing in front of me, and the symptom is still wandering around saying, no, there's really no connection here. Well, by this point I'm thinking, yeah, this is typical, like whatever it is I need to work with, yeah, probably not going to find an answer. That's just my luck. So what we do is we say, okay, well, let's play around with this a little bit more, and we let pretty much all of these people go sit down. And I believe we went all the way to there. So we got my mom and her parents. And for some reason, we're asking my grandma on my mom's side is essentially an orphan. So her mother died when she was only a few months, or within the first 2 years of her life. The father had already exited long before, during the pregnancy. So he's out of the picture. And then she goes to live with grandma. Grandma dies when she's like 8 or 9 or 10 years old, something like that. And then she goes to live with an aunt anyway, it's a whole story. There's a lot to work with my grandma and her genetic patterns. That's another whole video, okay? And I had actually worked with all of this before this session, so I'm down the line in the strange thoughts and the traumas that I've worked with in my life. So we say, okay, well, how about my grandpa, my mom's dad? Well, he had 5 brothers. So we bring in representatives for the 5 brothers, and we actually only got like 2 or 3 up here. I think we had 3. And all of a sudden, the symptoms are like right here going, it's here. Like, this is where I'm drawn. This is where we need to work. So we started asking a few questions. Well, it turns out that all of these brothers, there were some sisters in there too, but all of the brothers in his family became doctors or dentists. And it turns out that a couple of them, or at least one of them, committed suicide. And interesting circumstances. Don't really know a lot about it, but I do know that much. So, the man that was standing here, coincidentally, would have been about the age of when this person, this doctor, committed suicide. And it was so surreal because I'm very engaged. Like, I'm really curious. I feel like I'm going to find some answers here. And he looks me straight in the eye and he says, Brian, you'll never ever know the story. Just know that what you're struggling with was mine and not yours. And at that point, the gal who was representing the symptom just kind of started wandering around and walking around, and eventually she walked out here and she was watching. And when we asked later, what were you feeling? She's like, yeah, I don't need to be here anymore. Like, that's what resolved it. And so I'm sitting up here, and at this point I just kind of double over and I start breathing really heavy and really deep. And that goes on for just a little bit, and pretty soon it's like I can't breathe. Like something is restricting me. So Mark, he kind of is letting this play out, which is very much what this work is to allow things to just move forward organically with a few questions. Pretty soon he says, Brian, I feel like, can I just give you a pat on the back? He says, it feels like we need to start your breath again. And whatever, at this point I'm kind of dumbfounded, but I had experienced constellation work like this. I've been through all of his training. I'm certified to actually facilitate this work. I'd been through all of that, and I had seen this work like probably 60 or 70 times. I had been in constellations by this point. So I had a belief in it. And so I said, okay, and bam, he slaps me on the back, and I went and took this huge breath. And it's like I sat up and my whole body just got energized. And like, how can you, I don't know, it was like I was coming to life. It was like I was feeling life for the first time. And then everybody out here, like normally in this kind of work, the people who are out here representing, they stay pretty engaged until it feels like there's resolution. And then it's like they all just kind of want to drift back and find their seat, and like there's no energy in it anymore. It's been resolved. And that's what was going on. So from there, it felt like there was resolution, and we finished it up. There's some other aspects to this in bringing resolution, completing the facilitation. So we did that. I went to sit down, and we're off to the next client. We're going to do another one. And I just got this extreme sense of exhaustion. And as much as I wanted to be engaged, I was like, okay, so I step out. I go out into the lobby of this hotel, and I sit down on a couch out there, and pretty soon I'm laying down and I'm ready to go to sleep. And a person or two, I'm basically up there alone. Nobody else is with me. Like, nobody's going to come check on me necessarily. And I say, I'm going to go back up to my room. And I go up there, and I had the deepest sleep that I remember in my whole life. Like, I just was out. Slept for about an hour and a half, woke up, felt groggy, but felt energized and alive in a way that was new. And somehow I just knew, like, I was not going to have a problem with that kind of fear, my symptom of the fear that I was going to do something that would lead to someone's death. The fear isn't there. And what a relief. And it was as though I'd been carrying this heavy, heavy weight for all of my life. And I gotta say, I can't remember exactly. I think it was actually the day of my birthday that I was doing this work. And I remember thinking, it's like I just came alive. I think I was 45 when I did this. And it was like everything just fell away, and I felt like I had just taken 45 years of holding on to this genetically passed down memory and reaction. Call it a survival reaction. It was off. Amazing experience. And it's true. And since that time, I have a memory of, like, I will think about that there's, like, you can't live with that kind of thought for most of your life and have it just go away completely. It's like I think about it, but instead of it being a ghost that haunts me, it's more like something that I would go into a history book and read. So it's still there, but it's history, not actively haunting me. That's how I would explain it. Oftentimes that's exactly what I experienced as a facilitator of this work, and as I was learning it, and I've represented in a lot of these, like, I get to be these people. That's a whole nother story. It's kind of interesting there. So there you go. I don't know what else to tell you about that now. That's one of my experiences with constellation, and I hope you found something interesting about it. Perhaps there's something that you said, God, I wonder if what I am experiencing, or the thoughts, the feelings, the fears that I have, might be related to someone's actual experience in the family. Oh, I'll have to tell you about my great-great-grandpa or great-great-grandpa. Would have been his dad's dad, I think it was. And the story that went along there, it's really, really curious, the things we pick up and the things we carry with us. So maybe there's something that resonated with you. I'm going to keep making these because, you just never know who's going to be helped and how. So anyway, hope you guys found something interesting. Please give a like if you're inspired by my success, or you see some potential for yourself. And I hope you're having a great day, and I hope to see you out on the trail sometime. All right, take care.